So Ben, another media event, no Jorge Masvidal, discuss.
The guy didn't show up. I don't know. You guys have to ask him why he didn't show up. I just know that he's not here. He's 0 for 2. It's kind of weird this guy doesn't want to show up to work.
Does it annoy you?
Oh, I don't care. Right? I'm here to promote myself and not really him. So if he doesn't want to show up, that's fine.
Do you think it's because he just doesn't want to deal with the verbal back and forth with yourself, or do you think it's because he doesn't want to interrupt his last week of training and flying back and forth from Florida to LA could be a hassle?
Yeah, I would say it's probably a mix of those things, something in there. I think if he knows the verbal back and forth, it's probably not going to go very well for him. Obviously, it is a hassle for us to step out of our regular training cycle to come do something like this, but it's also part of our jobs, and it's also how we get paid what we do. So, tough shit, George, deal with it.
Did you see his tweet today in response to you?
His English is kind of broken. I was kind of confused as to what he was saying. Can you read that and tell me exactly what he's saying? Because I'm not sure.
You said, damn, I'm so far in his head, he can't even show up for work.
Yeah.
And he said, Ben, you are so right and so funny. Your read on people is spot on. I assume he's being a bit sarcastic there. And then he says, P.S., I know you miss your owner, bish.
So who does he think my owner is? That's what I was confused about.
I think what I took from that is he thinks he's your owner.
That's a weird take on it. But I didn't know if he was talking about Dana, because the one time he said, me and Dana are so tight or something. It's have you not been paying attention to anything in the past decade whatsoever? Are you really that clueless about everything that you would say something like that? Because that's just ridiculous. Obviously he had nothing useful back to say, so he just tried to be sarcastic and say, "Oh, you're right." I mean, that's like a 6th grade tactic.
I know that last time you came, I spoke to you at a media day, you said you didn't really like the tough guy fighters. You thought that you can just get through this quite professionally, and if there's a bit of back and forth, that's fine. Do you find his actions and his sort of persona the opposite of what you want to deal with?
I mean, listen, George lives the gimmick. He does, probably try to play up the tough guy thing a little bit, but he will fight you. He's fought on the street. There's no joke about that. But yeah, we are professionals. We fight in a cage. We get paid a lot of money to do so. And so, listen, do I want George trying to punch me in the hotel so I can't fight in 12 days? No, I don't. George, you can punch me all you want, or attempt to punch me all you want in 12 days in a cage in Las Vegas, Nevada. You don't need to be doing it in the hotel.
Did you see his recent grappling match with Anthony Pettis?
I watched a few highlight clips, but no, I did not watch it. One of my coaches watched the entirety of it.
So it went to a draw.
Yeah.
Do you look at that and think, well, if he goes to a draw with Anthony, he's 15 minutes with me, he's losing that fight?
It didn't appear that either one of them took it all that seriously. They were kind of just playing around, which I know for the handful of people that I know that watched the event, it was like, well, why am I going to pay for this if these guys aren't really going to attempt to do anything? And the answer to that is, well, that's really, really bad promotion. If your main event's not actually going to try to fight each other, that looks really bad for your event.
He's taken issue with you mentioning what happened in your first training session together. Do you feel Do you feel there is an issue with talking about what happens in training, or do you think that people are too sensitive about that?
Well, listen, if he was my teammate or my friend, we wouldn't be talking about training. I wanted to pick a fight with the guy. That's exactly the reason I talked about it, and it worked. And so, listen, I don't even remember the specifics of what happened. I remember the feeling that I got going with him, which is I'm going to crush this guy if I have to. And so, that's it. I mean, it obviously worked.
Do you think the fact he's reacted so negatively to it shows there's some truth in what you said?
Absolutely. I mean, the other thing that shows there's a lot of truth in what I said is the fact that it took him everything to say yes to this fight. I mean, I was on social media calling him all types of names trying to get him to say yes. And it was like, I was in. And he was the one that took weeks to say yes. So, he knew, a big part of him knew that, hey, this probably isn't going to go so well for me. But I kind of backed him to a corner where the only option he had to just is say yes.
Last couple from me. Moving past this fight, it looks like Tyron's going to be out with a hand issue for a little bit longer. Do you think if you win this one, you skip ahead of Colby?
Yeah, Colby's old news. When I win this, Colby's getting skipped.
He said earlier today that the UFC wanted to put him versus Usman in Abu Dhabi, but now they're looking at putting it in New York, perhaps in November later this year. Do you think they'll stick to that if you dominate Masvidal?
No, I think it's unlikely that they'll stick to that. I mean, that's probably Colby just saying Colby news. But when I get the fight with Usman, Colby versus Tyron's a great fight to make too. I'm sure Tyron will be totally okay with that.